shows like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and we also know shows like Vanderpump Rules are still clocking in at 1 million views. And why this is important to what we're about to talk about, there was a lot of conversation, there has been a lot of conversation on the internet about the ratings and views of some of our big flagship Black reality TV star shows, such as Married to Medicine, such as Real Housewives of Atlanta. These shows that historically have set the bar when it comes to Black reality TV program, and now in 2023, barely cracking 1 million, barely cracking 900, barely cracking 800,000. You know, this was a tough year for Married to Medicine, not Married to Medicine, but Real Housewives of Atlanta. And now we kind of see it with Married to Medicine with their ratings now being a little bit lower. And there was some discussion going on. And so for a while, I was sold on this idea that the reason why we see a decline in reality TV shows such as Married to Medicine and Real Housewives of Atlanta is because there's a decline in live viewership around, you know, across the board, which is that is very true. But then when I saw shows like Vanderpump Rules still on Bravo, and now Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which is airing currently right now, still clocking it at 1 million, I was like, now wait a minute. I remember at some point, Married to Medicine, definitely Real Housewives of Atlanta were knocking these other shows out on the network when it came to views. And now, even in this deficit of live viewership, these other shows are now doing a whole lot better. And so I'm asking you guys out there watching, and I'm asking my friends here, clearly this is data. What is this data reflective of? Is this reflective of there's a lack of interest in Black programming? There's a lack of interest in these particular shows? Is the network now promoting these shows more now that they've spent years using people of color to get the people over here? I don't know, but I do want to open this discussion up to everybody. Darius, I want to go to you first because you and I were talking about this heavily earlier this week, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know, Oliver. I think it could be any combination of things, but the number one thing that I want us to think back to, and you all may or may not remember, there was a call for Black people to boycott Bravo a few years ago. And that was on the heels of Nene, and people feeling like Nene had been mistreated. People were feeling like Mariah Huck had been mistreated. And they were feeling like a lot of these Black Bravo stars were not being treated the same way. They felt like the trips that Atlanta was taking were a little, a little less lavish than some of the other franchises. They felt like the promotion that these shows were getting were a little less planned out and less funded than some of the shows with the Black women. And I just wonder, when we look at numbers like these, how much of that has to do with the call to boycott Bravo?
That's a good point.
They just never re-engaged with the show because they can act like it didn't have an impact on the viewership, but you can definitely tell that from then to now, there is a big difference. And I have another theory, but I'm going to pop off to someone else.
Well, I would say when I'm on TikTok and I come across any type of clip that is related to Housewives of Atlanta and stuff, and this is no shade to nobody, but the people are speaking and they're saying that it's just not good anymore, that they're asking for a whole revamp of all new cast folks, and just, you think it could possibly be formula fatigue?
I love that, Chris. Formula fatigue.
It could be that. And not to interrupt, but when we were talking earlier about Zeus Network, you see what they're giving the people, and the people are tuning in over there.
Yeah.
If you look at what's happening on Bravo, it's not as up there like it used to be.
In terms of excitement from the people, you're saying.
And all the drama and all that. I mean, there was a lot of iconic moments back then on Atlanta. Is it still giving people that? From what I'm seeing on the internet, the folks are saying that they want Nene back. They want certain folks back. And it's looking like no one's listening over there at Bravo. Nene must return in some form or fashion. She would change everything, and those ratings would skyrocket. She is golden television.
The day Nene Leaks steps a foot back in the Bravo doors in any shape or form, the world is going to crack.
I agree. She is up there with Tiffany Pollard in the sense of they make amazing television.
I think Nene is above Tiffany Pollard. I
Really?
think in terms of being able to captivate the people, in terms of building excitement, in terms of galvanizing conversation, I think Nene has surpassed Tiffany in that regard.
Oh, that would be a good little poll for you to put somewhere and let's see what the people say. Because let's be honest, Tiffany is a pioneer.
Almost
Absolutely.
definitely.
Beyond.
Yes.
A lot of
Yes.
folks are on her shoulders, and
Definitely.
she's doing some TV appearances recently right now. And everybody online said that when she got the boot off that show she's recently on, that show lost all its magic instantly. So that goes to say she still
Yeah.
carries that beam of light wherever she goes.
Almost definitely. I think New York is definitely that girl, and her what she does in reality TV still to this day is still iconic. On House of Villains, that whole exit speech was iconic. However, I think in terms of if people heard New York doing a full sit down with Diane Sawyer, and people heard Nene Leaks doing a full sit down with Diane Sawyer, I think everyone's going to tune into Nene Leaks' first. I think if we heard a spinoff of any sort of just starring Tiffany by herself, centered around her, and we heard one of Nene Leaks centered around her, I think people are going to tune into Nene's first.
And I would say that's possibly only because Tiffany hadn't been on such a big platform in a while. She was staying, I mean, she will always be hot, but the internet has really kept her in that spotlight. And just now, recently, it seems to be like her train is a chugging now.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Now, let's say if New York had been on Housewives of Atlanta as long as Nene was, then this conversation could be possibly different with the whole Diane Sawyer reference.
Yeah. I don't know. I just put it out my ass. Going back to the conversation about the ratings disparity between white programming and black programming on Bravo, Sasha, do you have anything you want to contribute to this combo?
Yeah, no, I think that the promo's not there. Like I feel like every week we've talked about different shows on Bravo and the lack of promotion for it. I think it was actually Married to Medicine that we talked about, and we were like,
Yes.
we didn't see much promo for it. Of course, we can assume it's a black white thing. But I mean, the proof is in the pudding with some of the other shows that they are, getting a little bit more traction behind. I'm not sure what the fix is. I'm not. I do think we definitely do need that whole reinventing as far as a different cast for some of the housewife cities. However, I think there is still something to be said about the lack of promotion. Even when it comes to, scrolling TikTok or, queer people like yourself that are putting on a platform to talk about reality TV. You, Carlos King, all these different people, and how we still just like got surprised that Married to Medicine was back on TV. Like, that's crazy when it literally has Bravo on its fucking shoulders. Like, everybody watches it, and for the lack of promotion, for it to still have, the backing that it does have. Imagine if you actually did your fucking job marketing. Like, that's just crazy.
Sasha, I gotta say earlier when you were speaking, it sounded like you said the poop is in the pudding, and it just gave me
It did. I was like, child, I don't want that pudding.
Okay.
it gave me the
thought-
best tickle.
I'm dead. No, Eddie every week he pick at me because I have a retainer, so it just sometimes it is a. He was trying to pick at me the other week, but
No, it's
fuck
okay.
y'all.
Child, I struggle too. I got big lips. These things be getting stuck underneath my tongue, and my teeth be popping back in my eyes. Just be craziness.
The poop is in the pudding.
I feel like there is a lot of things at play on why there is even with the ratings disparity of live TV going on, why we've seen shows like Married to Medicine, Real Housewives, black programming shift down, and other programming shift up. And even I'll take it to Basketball Wives. The ratings for Basketball Wives this last season was like horrific when you compare it to previous seasons. Oh my God, yes. It was really bad. And I think as a whole, we as a black community are just tired of this formula. Like Chris said, it is formula fatigue, and they've gotten extremely, in my opinion, lazy when it comes to who they choose for these casts. Yep. The effort put into storyline, like actually pulling out authentic story, which honestly is affected by, the people feel like they got to put on the show. People don't want to tell us all their business. Like, I want real people back on reality TV. That's a whole other conversation. And there is an issue, like Sasha said, and like we spoke about ad nauseum before on other episodes, is the marketing. Like, I was at BravoCon this year, right? And there was some space, like, you know, you can see everybody, you know, just moving about. They're moving all these casts. Yes, the people love Married to Medicine. They love the Housewives. But those people were going bananas when those other shows walked in. When I say bananas, they were going, but like they were fainting almost, like going bananas. You know, and like I said, they were still showing love to our people, but the love was at such a higher level with the other shows. And there is an issue, I do feel like, when it comes to the black conversation over there at Bravo. And we've seen it bleed out on the programming when it comes about colorism. We've seen people talk about boycotting. Something has to happen.
Bring back Nene.
Yeah. Yep.
That'll save everything, honey. People would tune in like crazy to see her return.
I don't know.
Dares, you were about to say something earlier.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're absolutely right about the formula fatigue, Chris. I agree with that. I think that they thought bringing Phaedra onto Married to Medicine was going to help their ratings skyrocket, and we have not seen that happen just yet.
No.
So I even worry about Nene coming back and it not boosting the ratings. I think that would be more detrimental than her pivoting it into another lane. In terms of the BravoCon conversation, I think that's also systemic, because which subset of the fan base is going to pay $1,000?
Let's talk about it.
A BravoCon experience, like, it's all systemic. And so also I think that Bravo follows that money trail when they decide how they're going to promote the programming.
Oh,